Welcome to our instructional design masterclass, Design for Impact. Today we're focusing on one of the most important and honestly one of the most overlooked parts of instructional design, and that's alignment. When objectives, assessments, and instruction are aligned, learners experience greater clarity, stronger success, and more meaningful learning. Today, we'll explore how to strengthen that alignment intentionally using the golden triangle of design. This session will help you recognize, evaluate, and improve alignment across objectives, assessments, and instruction. So with an immediate application to your own design work. The goal is not perfection, it's intentionality. So please make sure you know where the chat is if you're just joining us within the last minute or so you can participate throughout the session. We will also have a few polls along the way. My name is Christina Thomas. I'm the Learning Design Specialist here at GW. So welcome and thanks for joining us. In our last session, we learned about essential questions. And today's essential question, which will anchor our thinking throughout the webinar, is how does alignment transform learning from activity completion into meaningful evidence of understanding? This is really about designing experience where every part of learning works together intentionally. I hope this question invites you to engage in our discussion today. Alignment challenges are incredibly common. Most instructional design problems are actually alignment problems in disguise. So let's take a moment for a quick poll and see what you think. So in just a second, I'll go ahead and launch the poll and it should pop up on your screen. So if you would go ahead and select the option that fits your experience, where does misalignment usually begin? Objectives are too vague or unmeasurable. Assessments don't match the objective. Activities don't prepare learners for the assessment. The design wasn't built backwards from outcome. As soon as you make a selection, go ahead and hit submit, and you should be able to see what your peers have chosen as well. So we have about 47% say objectives are vague or unmeasurable. Absolutely. Very good. We have about 15 assessments don't match. 10% activities don't prepare learners for the assessment. About 26% the design wasn't built backward from outcomes. Very good. You're learning from our master class. Excellent. All very good choices and responses. John Hattie's research consistently emphasizes the importance of clarity in learning. In visible learning, teacher clarity has one of the strongest impacts on student achievement because learners perform better when they clearly understand where they're going, what success looks like, and how learning connects together. Alignment creates that clarity. Let's take a look at the following scenario. The objective is to understand project management principles. The assessment is a 50-question multiple choice test, and the instruction is collaborative project simulation. What feels misaligned here? I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to think about it, and we're going to try a chat waterfall, which basically means you can type it in the chat, but we're not going to hit enter until I say after that 20 seconds. So I'll give you like 15 seconds. We're looking for what feels misaligned here. Between our objective, assessment, and instruction. So go ahead and type that in the chat. And then go ahead and hit enter. Awesome. See lots of objectives, clear and measurable objective. The assessment. Excuse me, lots of objectives. Another assessment, very good. Assessment and instruction does not align. Awesome, everybody, thank you. So yes, you're seeing what I'm seeing. Look at the patterns emerging. Mismatch of objectives and assessments. Also, the verb is vague. There's the disconnect between assessment and objective, as many of you said. Also, unclear evidence of mastery. Activities not directly tied to measurable objectives. Cognitive objective measuring. Very good, very good. So when alignment is weak, students often work hard, but toward unclear targets. That creates cognitive overload and frustration for students. Strong alignment removes the unnecessary guesswork. Have you ever completed an activity that felt engaging, but you weren't exactly sure what you were supposed to learn? That is often an alignment issue. Students may enjoy the activity, but if the objective, instruction, and assessment aren't connected, then learning can feel fragmented. Yes, thanks for the thumbs up. Let's take a look at misalignments in real life. Objective is learn to drive safely. Assessment is a written vocabulary quiz about car parts. And instruction is to watch racing videos. Would you feel confident driving afterwards? Think of alignment like a structural system. The objectives define success. The assessments measure success. And then the instruction prepares the learners for success. If one corner disconnects, the learning experience loses coherence. That is our golden triangle of design. One of the biggest mistakes in instructional design is starting with activities first. That is, many people start with that. Backward design reminds us that we begin with the end in mind. So first determine what should learners know and be able to do. That would be stage one, your desired results. And then how will they demonstrate mastery? What is that evidence of learning for stage two? And only then do we design the instruction. What are those learning experiences that you will create along the way in stage three? Verb choice matters tremendously. So let's take a look at the at the first objective, not so strong, second objective, much stronger. This is where Bloom's taxonomy helps us. Verbs like understand sit at a lower, less observable level, while verbs like apply, analyze, or design move learning into visible performance. So we can actually measure the success. These verbs immediately clarify what learners must do, what evidence we need, and what instruction should prepare them for. So the stronger one, apply conflict resolution strategies to workplace scenarios. You can almost visualize exactly what that will look like in your classroom. So let us know in the chat, which objective is better aligned for assessment, would you say? We have A, know the steps of data analysis. B, analyze a data set to make evidence-based recommendations. Very good. Seeing lots of B's, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Oh boy, we are all aligned here. Objective B immediately tells us what students must demonstrate, what evidence counts, and what kind of instruction we need. Clear objectives simplify assessment design. While no can be an objective, it is a very basic level of Bloom's, and that would be recall. So let's practice spotting alignment gaps together. If you could take a look at this example, the objective expects students to design a marketing campaign, which is a high-level performance task. Design a marketing campaign. But the assessment is only checking vocabulary recall. And instruction is mostly passive lecture. So here is the question. If you could revise only one part first, what would you change and why? I'd love for you to drop that in the chat. I'll give you about 45 seconds or so. So if you had the objective assessment and instruction, and you wanted to revise only one part first, what would you change and why do you think? The objective, redesign the assessment, change the instruction. Assessment, work backwards, absolutely. The instruction, the terms don't fully explain a campaign strategy, absolutely. The instruction portion, I'd flip from lecture to in-class exercise, absolutely. Lots of assessments, yep. Thinking about that backwards design, absolutely. The objective should be about marketing terminology. And lecture, if you're going to do that, make it more interactive where students know how to design. Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. What is important is recognizing that alignment problems are a connected system, like that golden triangle. So once one corner changes, if you were to start with any of those one options, the others usually need revision too. So what assessment would better match this objective? You could share in the chat, but it could be a campaign proposal, presentation, peer review, rubric-based pitch, portfolio. Alignment and UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, actually strengthen one another beautifully. UBD, or Understanding by Design, provides the structure and clarity, and UDL provides flexibility and accessibility. So when learners can clearly see what they're expected to do, how they'll be assessed, how instruction prepares them, they feel less uncertain and stress. Okay, so let's apply this to your own work. Think of a real objective you currently use in your course or one you will be using soon. And of course, if you have another tab open, you can feel free to Google it real quick. Yes, let's get one for your specific course, and it doesn't need to be perfect. You can reflect privately, you can jot down notes, or please feel free to enter it in the chat because we love to learn from and with one another here in these webinars. So I'll give you about 30, 45 seconds to find an objective. Again, one you're using now, about to learn, or you can Google one real quick. And if you would like to enter that objective in the chat, please feel free to do so. I'm going to show you mine shortly. And as you're looking at your objective, you can think, what could learners actually do to show mastery? What evidence would prove mastery? Will learning experiences truly prepare learners for that performance? Oh, thank you for entering some in the chat. I can identify major anatomical structures of the head on a diagram in a person. Great, thank you. Simulation to show mastery, then actual hands-on learning, absolutely. Demonstrate proper pruning techniques, thank you. And please feel free to keep going as I continue with the slides, because we will be revisiting them. All right, so here's my objective sample. If my objective says analyze, so I'll go ahead and read it. Analyze developmental milestones to identify appropriate learning activities for young children. So if my objective says analyze developmental milestones, then there's a multiple choice recall quiz alone. That probably isn't enough evidence to show that the learning happened. Learners need opportunities to interpret scenarios, justify reasoning, and make recommendations. So that means instruction must include guided practice with authentic examples before the assessments. So where do you think misalignment most commonly happens? I only put up the objective and assessment here, but what do you think? Feel free to share that in the chat. Where do you think misalignment most commonly happens? Would it be because the objective is too vague? Assessment is too low level? Or instruction doesn't prepare learners? Where do you think? Yep. Objective and assessments don't match. Often the objective is too vague. Absolutely. Yes, objective and assessment at different DOKs. Absolutely. Vague objective, seeing a lot of similarities, a lot of pattern here. Yep, could be the instruction is not preparing them well enough. Instruction and assessment don't match. Absolutely. All right, so you should have your objective now at this point, hopefully. So let's analyze. This is where alignment gaps become visible. Sometimes we realize our assessment measures recall while the objective expects application. Learners are assessed at a level they never had a chance to practice, right? So that objective with just the 50 question multiplication quiz, it doesn't really align to my expectation and my objective. So what would learners actually do to demonstrate this mastery? So here I have my example up here, but consider what your objective is, and let's think about what would learners do in order to demonstrate mastery? What is observable performance that would show success? So I'll go ahead and share some of mine as you're thinking about yours. Feel free to just jot it down, think about it, or write it in the chat. Type it in the chat. So what would learners do here? So mine was analyze developmental milestones to identify appropriate learning activities for young children. So they could analyze child development scenarios. They could match activities to developmental needs. They could explain why an activity is age appropriate, or they could recommend learning experiences for children. If you'd like to share any of yours with us, we would love to hear those in the chat, see those in the chat. And now that you have decided what learners will do for your objective, now let's think about how would they demonstrate mastery? What is the assessment? What is the evidence of learning? So I'll go ahead and share mine, and you feel free to share yours in the chat as well as you're thinking about that. For mine, they could complete a case study analysis. They could create a developmentally appropriate lesson, evaluate classroom activity examples, or submit a child observation reflection. And then lastly, as you're thinking about your objective, what prepares learners for success? What is the instruction, the support, or the practice that they're going to get in your classroom or your course to show that they have met the objective? Could be instructor modeling the milestone analysis before they actually do it themselves. Could be video examples of children at different stages. Could be guided practice with case studies. Have milestone charts as reference tools for the students. Small group instruction. So lots and lots of planning to go into ensuring your assessment matches your objective and that you have the proper support and instruction to make that cohesive golden triangle. Alignment is rarely perfect on the first draft. Strong instructional designers continuously revise alignment by asking, does this assessment truly measure the objective? Does instruction prepare learners adequately? Are learners practicing the same thinking they'll later be assessed on? Okay, so notice how the entire learning experience, oh, let me put these up on the screen. We have a before and after objective scenario or assessment and activity. So notice how the entire learning experience changes once the objective becomes more measurable and authentic. At first, we have understand workplace safety. The assessment is a vocabulary quiz, activity is lecture notes, and then the after, We have evaluate workplace safety risks in authentic scenarios. So you could see that the assessment shifts from the vocabulary quiz to a scenario analysis. The instructional strategy shifts from lecture notes to case study simulation. And therefore, the learning becomes much more meaningful and visible. This is less about mastery and more about awareness. Often the biggest shift is simply beginning to notice alignment intentionally. So after our couple of practices today, I'm just going to have a quick poll and have you share after today's session. Let us know, do you feel like, first, do you feel like it's still a bit unclear or it's more visible to you? Are you ready to implement some of these things that we discussed and practiced today? Go ahead and select your option. You could feel free to put it in the chat as well. And let's see where we're at. This will be good feedback. Good. More visible, about 50%, about 50% ready to implement. Absolutely, that's excellent feedback. About 60% more visible. Thanks for sharing, everybody. So as you respond and think about a specific design improvement you can implement immediately, even one small alignment adjustment can significantly improve learner clarity, changing that verb, going to a different level of Bloom's taxonomy. Go ahead and enter in the chat one change that you could make to improve alignment based off of what we discussed today, or something that you already know that we didn't talk about today, because we like to learn from others as well. Let students know which material needs to be memorized versus understood. Yes, clear objectives, absolutely. Use of Bloom's taxonomy, great. Update assessment methods, absolutely. It's nice to have those multiple choice for sure, and there's certainly a place for them. We just want to make sure that whatever the assessment is aligning to the objective that you are having in place for that lesson for the day or the week. Use the backward strategy, determine objectives, set assessment, prepare instruction, absolutely. Clear instruction and objectives that align. Use stronger measurable verbs in the objective. Making the whole board concise, that whole triangle, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. We love to learn from each other. So as we close, the key takeaway is this. Remember the big idea from last session. Alignment is not simply a compliance exercise or a lesson planning checklist. Alignment creates clarity, and clarity helps learners succeed. So when objectives, assessments, and instruction align, learning becomes intentional and not accidental. Well, we are about at 3:25 Eastern Time. If you would like to join us for our next session on June 23rd at 2 p.m. Central, we would love to have you. That will be Designing for Transfer, helping students apply learning beyond the classroom. And of course, these sessions are recorded as well. We will send them to you. And then we also have our ID Masterclass playlist, which I hope that on the next slide I have put for you. I will go ahead and enter that into the chat and in the follow-up email, absolutely, so you guys can find any of our ID sessions that you missed. But if you would also please scan this QR code and give us some feedback on our session today, if there are any questions you still have. Yes, and I do thank you for the question. I do share the slides with participants, absolutely. We'll give you the presentation, and we will give you a certificate, and then that link to the recording and previous recordings as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We hope you sign up for our next one and provide us with feedback. We always love to hear it.